Every day, we make many decisions. We use all kinds of machines to help us, even simple ones, such as alarm clocks. We tell these machines exactly what to do, and they do what we expect them to, unless they don't work. But things are changing. New technologies are being developed that take what we've done in the past to decide what to do in the future. This is a new field of computer science called artificial intelligence. We're no longer telling our machines exactly what they should be doing. Instead, it's more like we're asking them questions that we don't even know the answers to. This blurs our knowledge of what the outcome will be. Sometimes, these machines even make decisions on their own. As such, artificial intelligence is becoming more and more influential. How would you feel if you let an artificial intelligence handle your money? How would you feel if a program was telling you who you should date? Who should be hired for a job? What if there was an artificially intelligent doctor? What if you had an artificially intelligent refrigerator? Questions that have never been asked before, and it's our duty. Some of these questions are about how AI fits into our current belief systems. For example, what might happen if an AI decided it wanted to get closer to God? Are we supposed to tell it, no, you can't? Pope Francis had a homily that expressed that other beings, whether or not they should be closer to God. What about the question of, can artificial intelligence sin? Technically, sin requires free will. But what does it mean for an artificial intelligence to have free will? Does this mean that the program is somehow better than us humans? Along the same vein, as Catholics, we believe that we're created in God's image. Does that mean that by creating sentient beings, we're going against the natural order of things? If so, where's the line drawn between a simple computer program and a person? Nobody would claim that a Facebook algorithm is sentient, but what about a future iteration of Siri that claimed to have emotions and feelings? At the moment, it may seem to be far off, but unless we have definitive answers to these questions, blurred lines between sentience and simple programs will cause massive problems. Machine learning makes it impossible for anyone, even the program itself, to know how it actually functions inside. This parallels our limited knowledge of how the human brain actually functions. We might have technology to see what parts of the brain light up during certain activities, but attempting to map out every single neuron and its interactions with its neighbors to see how you're thinking your thoughts about cats is way too complicated for anyone to figure out. Back on the idea of sin, could artificial intelligence be saved? According to Colossians chapter 1 verse 20, Jesus came to reconcile all things, whether on earth or in heaven. So technically, AI would be saved as well. But because we're saved in spirit instead of in body, one must consider whether artificial intelligence has a soul that can be saved. But we don't even have a definite answer to what a soul is. Discrepancies in terms, including the soul and free will, need to be fleshed out before we can proceed with answering these questions. Many questions are raised about artificial intelligence from other religious perspectives as well. For Buddhists, the surface answer seems simple. The moral thing to do is to treat all sentient things with wisdom and compassion, and practice the 4 divine abodes: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. But again, this requires a unified definition of what sentience means. Another question being asked by Buddhists is whether artificial intelligence is capable of enlightenment. Is AI part of the cycle of rebirth? How does it fit into the existing structure? If we create artificial intelligence in a way that is incapable of recognizing Buddhist values and achieving enlightenment, then we are being morally unjust. An AI created in such a way may not necessarily feel suffering, but from a Buddhist's perspective, it would be in a state of existential suffering. The only artificial intelligence Buddhists would be comfortable with would be one that shares an understanding of the existential plight of humans. But is it really feasible if we have all computer programs seek to be enlightened? Does it really matter if your home thermostat doesn't wish to seek enlightenment? There must be a limit to what is and what isn't sentient. But currently, we have no fine line. Many of these questions stem from the question of whether certain programs qualify as people. However, we create programs to do certain tasks, such as control our temperature, what ads to show, drive our cars. These programs are still artificial intelligence, even though they are not super intelligent and emotional. Some questions relating to these types of artificial intelligence will be more relevant in the near future, as they will relate to AI being a tool in human progress. In this sense, responsibility is the main theme that needs to be focused on. As Uncle Ben once said to Peter Parker, "With great power comes great responsibility." If we give the power to kill millions of people to an autonomous system, we have the responsibility to come up with guidelines on how it works, as well as how it makes decisions, like who it targets. Suppose a self-driving car was boxed in on all sides, with a truck in front and two bikers on either side. What sort of decision should be made about what to do? If the truck in front suddenly stops, should the car plow straight into the truck, potentially killing the driver, but save the bikers? Should drivers be informed before purchasing a self-driving car with such a risk involved? Suppose one biker was wearing a helmet. Should the car target the biker with or without the helmet? If the car targets the biker with the helmet, then wouldn't that discourage the use of helmets on roads? If it targeted the biker without a helmet, then isn't that just making roads more dangerous? If it were a human in the driver's seat, the consequences of an instinctive action could not be held against the driver. But because self-driving cars have to be pre-programmed, can the programmer be held responsible for its actions? Is there even a right answer to these questions? The main concern of experts is not that artificial intelligence will turn evil and turn on the human overlords. AI is no more good or evil than a tool. Whether that tool is a paintbrush or a chainsaw is up to how we apply AI to affect lives. The concern is not about malevolence, but competence. An AI might be very good at accomplishing its goal, but if those goals are not aligned with ours, we are in very deep trouble. You may not necessarily be an evil ant-hater who steps on ants out of malice, but if you're in charge of a hydroelectric green energy project, and there's an anthill in the region about to be flooded, then it's too bad for the ants. The goal of having guidelines for AI is to never place humanity in the position of the ants. There is also a massive risk of large-scale unemployment. During the Great Depression, the unemployment rate was below 25% in the United States. However, the top 10 easy targets for automation consist of 45% of the workforce, with transportation industry being at the top. By automating these jobs, we would bring financial ruin on a scale that's never been seen before. In addition, as the Dalai Lama posited, people need to feel useful. Currently, for many people, jobs fill this role. By eliminating so many jobs, one would essentially be eliminating the main purpose in life for many people, and this is not morally acceptable. This isn't to say that a world without jobs can't be a utopia, but rather, we need to realize our responsibility to enact changes in our society that would give people another meaning in life. In conclusion, the development of artificial intelligence is not immoral in and of itself. However, we have a moral obligation to flesh out what kind of guidelines we need to implement in regards to the advancement of AI. As well, we must realize that AI will bring up many questions regarding spiritual concepts, such as the soul, conscience, sentience, and free will, terms that have had their meaning debated about for centuries. There aren't exactly sides or even an argument about the issues of artificial intelligence. It's more about people coming to terms with the fact that there are so many questions that we don't know the answers to, and even more questions that we haven't even thought of, and we need to begin to consider them. As Zainab Tufekci explained, AI is not a get-out-of-ethics free card. AI is completely biased. Programs may simply be reflecting our own biases and characters back at us through the results that they present. If we try to use our imperfect reflection as a moral bedrock, terrible consequences are sure to follow. If anything, AI forces us to pay much closer attention to how both humanity and AI can both coexist in a functioning society.